What's up, guys? This is the Soundcheck checking in on the latest hip-hop headlines, and that was a classic Q-Tip production from the song Scenario. Today we will be reviewing the surprise Kendrick Lamar compilation album, Untitled, Unmastered. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been hearing from Top off Twitter about some TDE updates. He had been also answering a couple of fan questions, one being by LeBron James. He asked for an album with some of Kendrick Lamar's live performances, and that's pretty much what we got. After seeing this album had no title and no song titles as well, I came to believe that this is just a fan project, specifically for us. Although he may have wanted to release these songs, he probably wanted everyone to know that this isn't the best he could do, which is why I think they didn't have much of a specific identity.
I wasn't expecting anything to drop at first. I was thinking a new Kendrick Lamar release would be around April or May of 2017 because we just recently got a classic from him last year in March. But instead, this dropped unexpectedly last week, and there's a lot of hype for the studio versions of his live performances, such as the Colbert and with Jimmy Fallon. But I'm glad it's categorized as a compilation album and not a studio album, so that it shouldn't be taken more seriously compared to his previous efforts.
To begin the project, we get a song that I feel doesn't really have a starting of an album vibe. It starts with a strange skit, and I think this is kind of to prove to his fans that the songs are in no specific order and kind of are just put out for fun.
The intro by Bilal doesn't do much for me, but I really like how Kendrick picks up the beat after the skit.
Oh yeah, after that he just goes off. I think it's one of his best rapping performances in the last year. I like it better than some of the things he has on To Pimp a Butterfly, to be honest. At the very end, he even has, I think, the best line in this song. I guess I'm running in place trying to make it to church. It's kind of saying that his lifestyle makes it almost impossible to meet his religious side.
Yeah, this flow and wordplay is what I love about K. Dot. And the song warns us about if we continue to sin, it'll eventually catch up to us as a whole nation and world. It has a very interesting and mellow outro to close out the track. And I really love how this album starts off. I'm expecting big things throughout this whole project. After a solid intro comes one of the better songs in the album. And this song touches on being torn between the streets and being a celebrity. He's touched on this idea a couple of times in Good Kid and To Pimp a Butterfly. And his flow transitions throughout this song is killer. And the production is very solid.
One of the things I wasn't a big fan of was him testing out some interesting vocals. I guess it's more, again, from the To Pimp a Butterfly trial and error, but for some people it does it for them. They really like it, and obviously, as seen on iTunes, it's a top hit. It's being pretty successful right now. You get the Pimp Pimp Hooray here, and also the popular, at the moment, Get Top on the Phone, which is just trying to get as many TDE releases as possible right now.
He made a reference to that on an Instagram post, and that's what's been keeping everyone on the edge of their seats with these upcoming Top Dog projects, and I'm really looking forward to what 2016 has for us.
Yeah, I like this song a lot. It kind of tells the success story with TDE. Next is the third track. This is one of the songs that Kendrick Lamar performed live that we got on this project. And when I first heard the song, I could distinctly tell that it was heavily influenced by jazz rap. And me personally, I'm not a big fan.
Being a fan of the Colbert Report and the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, I was very excited to see that Kendrick would be one of Steven's last performances before he went to go host his own night show. And I was very pleased with what I got. It had a very interesting beat with a heavy funk bass, unlike Adam, what he tends to like.
Don't get me wrong, I do like the song. The lyrics are very powerful. It's a typical Kendrick Lamar song. It talks about the lives of different races and how they are affected along each other.
Yeah, he pulls out lines about how messed up the lives of Indians, blacks, and Asians have been throughout the years and how the white man has been on higher ground during those times. And I also love the appearance from Anna Wise to close out the song. What we get next is the fourth song, and finally a SZA appearance on a Kendrick song. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
You do get them together, but I would say that it's more of an unused interlude more than a song. It's just kind of short and not much lyrical content is involved in the song.
Sounds like Kendrick is lost in his thoughts as he whispers words that still people are trying to figure out a week later after the project dropped.
It's kind of funny because right when I heard this, it reminded me of the Eminem Public Service Announcement 2000 from the Marshall Mathers LP, where he's whispering, and it just kind of rang a bell to me. Kind of funny, I thought.
This doesn't do much for me, and I feel like this is sort of a brief intermission in the album.
It does lead perfectly into the fifth song. This has J-Rock, Punch, and I think they do really well together, along with Anna Wise.
Yeah, I love the heavy, loose crash cymbals in the beat. One of the more memorable production outputs in the album. Anna Wise's intro is excellent, it has a very soothing feel, even though the images presented is somewhat dark.
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album. It just flows beautifully. It's one of those songs.
Kendrick goes hard as hell on his verse, touches on being institutionalized and others being institutionalized. Some parts of his verse you can recognize off of his Grammy performance as well. Punch takes an advantage with his opportunity. Hope he gets his own project soon, and J-Rock also has a very solid verse.
Oh yeah.
This leads into the sixth song on the album, and this is one of the few songs on the album that fits well with the tone to Pimp a Butterfly.
I agree with that. I feel like this song would be better off, though, if it was in a full-length project. I'm not the biggest fan of this one just because of that. I think it's kind of weak on its own.
I feel the drum set, saxophone, and flute trio really stand out in the production. I was surprised to see CeeLo Green, and I loved his performance. The song talks about embracing your flaws as a person, which has a very nice theme.
Next, we get 7, which is one of the nastiest beats I've ever heard Kendrick rap over. It brings me back to Good Kid, Mad City almost.
Shout out to Young Egypt on this beat. Shows a lot of promise as a 5-year-old to the son of Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. This is the ultimate hype song on the album.
This is the Kendrick Lamar I fell in love with. He just goes off on this, I think. He really is full of energy in this one. Although he does still have the To Pimp a Butterfly vocals kind of thing, like the weird up and down kind of jumping around with it. But other than that, I think this is definitely my favorite song on the album.
I love both sections of the production. I like the second beat on the switch up a little bit more though. Young Egypt makes an awesome statement of where he's from, Compton, in the middle of the beat switch. And I thought the 3 minutes of change at the end of the song is unneeded. Sort of reminds me of the second half of 30 Hours on The Life of Pablo. To close out the album, we get Untitled 8. And We Want the Funk. I mean, it's one of, if not my favorite tracks on the album.
Yeah, it's very funky, like you said. It just makes me want to move. This is also one of the live performances that he had.
It sounds more finished or completed compared to the others on the project, which I enjoyed. I did like that there was a finished sounding song on the album.
I did notice that as well. It didn't have much of an intro, but I think this is a good outro song to this project.
This, along with 6, would fit well with To Pimp a Butterfly. Although I would like this song to stay on here because it has more of a live performance to it. The lyrics touch on financial struggles in America, resulting in depression towards debt. And I love the wailing synth throughout the song, which fits well with the underlying theme.
So, Connor, what do you think of this compilation of songs he had in his locker?
When it comes down to it, this is not Kendrick's best output.
Obviously.
With that being said, this quote-unquote worst album, if you want to put it in those terms, before this would be Section 80. That was one of the best albums of 2011 in my opinion. I love the idea of an unfinished album, and I think people tend to forget that the original title of To Pimp a Butterfly was in fact Untitled, with a blank black cover art. And I love how he applies the original idea to this unfinished, untitled work of art. It's unfortunate that this is the best project I've listened to this year.
Yeah.
And yet, it's his outtakes from To Pimp a Butterfly that didn't fit in with the final track listing. My favorite songs on the album are Untitled 2, 5, and 8. And if I had to pick a lackluster song on the album, I guess I would pick '03 or '04, but I still really enjoy both of these tracks. In the end, I feel that this is a soothing and enjoyable album that many Kendrick and Top Dog Entertainment fans would appreciate. I'm feeling a solid B on this album. What do you think, Adam?
I just think it's funny that Kendrick can put out a project that is obviously not his best work and still be pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been saying this. It's not some of his work that he needed to put out, but we wanted it and he gave it to us. I thank Top for that. I do like a lot of these songs on the album, even though they're not his best work, like I said. I think that Untitled 2 was really good. Untitled 5 and 7 were really good. And I would definitely want to listen to this down the road when I'm just cruising, kind of chilling. That's just the kind of music that Kendrick Lamar is making. Overall, I give it a B minus, and I think that's pretty good for something he just threw together.
That'll be it for us for our review on Kendrick Lamar's Untitled Unmastered. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the SCheck and also email us any hip hop questions you might have. What are you listening to?
Should we review it?
Send us your opinions on new ideas for the show to our official email, thesoundcheck2015 at gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in to The Soundcheck as we officially sound off.